geometry here. It should be good. Change of pace. Pretty excited. This is some pretty neat stuff here. So we're going to get a bunch of stuff. You may know this, but I want to make sure we have the terminology down. We're going to talk angles. So we know that an angle has the vertex. It's two rays. It's the endpoints of two rays. Boom. So we got these two rays coming out. What you may not know is we call this theta. Theta is this symbol right here. So this is the Greek symbol for theta, and that's how we're going to denote an angle in here. So we're always going to be finding theta. What's the measure of this angle? So we're going to have angles, and we're used to seeing angles like that. We're going to put them in what's called standard position. So that means one side of the angle, we're going to start at the origin, is going to be your vertex, and it's going to extend to the right on the x-axis. So that is going to be what we call the initial side. So I'm going to drag this bad boy up here. That is the initial side of the angle. Then what we're going to do, where it's going to end, maybe it ends somewhere out here. You could probably take a guess. There's my angle right here, and we're maybe finding theta. I want to know what is the measure of that angle. That side over here is called the terminal side, and we are now in standard position here. So standard position, go straight to the right, and we're going to go around the origin here. Awesome. So, quick refresher of quadrants. I may say something weird like, hey, you know, we're used to seeing something like, what is a 48-degree angle? Well, I could draw that in standard position. It goes here. I estimate it something like this. That is a 48-degree angle. What we're going to start doing is saying, what's like a 300-degree angle? So a 300-degree angle is going to be something starting standard position. You're going to go around 300 degrees to this. This is now a 300-degree angle. So also the quadrants here. So another important thing is that remember this is quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. So sometimes I'll refer what quadrant does the terminal side end up in, and you have to tell me a 300-degree angle ends up in quadrant 4. Let's draw them. I guess on the next page I got some graph paper. Let's draw 315. So almost the same thing. How do I know where to go here? Well, I know from standard position, so this is one side of it. I know that this is 90. It forms the right angle, and a straight line is 180. Add 90 to that. This is 270. So we're looking at, that's 270. So we're going how far past 270? We're going about 45 past it. So we're looking at something like this. This is a 315-degree angle. Excellent. Can we draw negative? Sure thing. So we're starting over here, and I want to draw the negative. Well, this would be negative 180, so I'm going negative 150, and can I ballpark it like this? This is negative 150 degrees. How about 460? Sure. Well, I can go 90, 180, 270, 360. I'm going to go past 360. How far past it? I'm going to go 100 past it, so I'm going to go all the way around, plus an extra 100, so I'm going to end up something like this. Boom. So that is a 460-degree angle. Cool. What if I want you to name some angles here? So if I want to name this angle, yeah, I could name this negative 120. That's too easy. Is there another way to name this? It's going from the standard position negative 120. Sure, I could name it the other way, couldn't I? Well, it's going to got to complete the circle. So check it out. 240 is actually the same thing as negative 120. Fantastic. This one's kind of weird. You know, this is 180 right here. I am 45 away from it. So what is this other part of the angle? How far did I actually go? Well, it's going to be 180 minus 45. We're looking at what? 135 degrees. Very cool. You could also name that negatively. If someone was fired up, could you name it this way? Sure. You could do it that way. You got negative 180 plus 45 more. You're looking at negative 225. So a couple different ways to name these. How about this angle here? So we're looking at, what do you want to call this? Probably the easiest way is to call it this way, a negative angle. Remember, this is like a 90 degrees here, so you're 30 less. This is like 60 degrees, so negative 60, which would be the same as what if I went this way? 30 past 270, 300. So you can name them positively or negatively. Every angle you can name like that, which brings us to my next one, coterminal angle. So coterminal angles are angles that share a terminal side. So in standard position, they have that terminal side in common. So it's just what we were doing on the last one, those were coterminal angles as far as renaming them. So let's say that I give you something like this. This would be the most basic. So let's say that I give you this angle and I describe it as, hey, that is negative 130 degrees. That's a negative 130. Well, I want to know its coterminal angle that's between 0 and 360. So you need to name it positively, so you have to name it the other way. So I don't want negatives. I only want the positive between 0 and 360. A lot of times we just want that positive. So what do you have to do to this? Well, just add 360 to it. I mean, think about it. 360 is the whole circle. Add 360 to it, and we're looking at what? What is this angle over here? Sure, that's going to be 230 degrees. So 230, whoa, let me try that again. 230 is coterminal to negative 130. Awesome. Are there more? Sure. You can name this a bunch of different ways, and we'll come up to that in a second. How about this? What if I give you this angle here? We're looking at this is, say, 130 degrees. So let's say I have a 130 degree angle. Can you name another one that's positive and one that's negative? Well, sure. The negative one, no problem. It's just like the last one, isn't it? That would be negative 230. Boom. No problem. But what about another positive one? Well, what if you went around the circle? Instead of just saying there's 130, what if you went all the way around 360 plus another one of these? So if you add 360 to this, you're looking at what? 490. So these are all coterminal. In fact, I could add another 360 to this and say that's what? 850, I believe. I hope that's right. And then I could keep going, add 360, or subtract 360, subtract 360. You know, if I subtract 360, I could be at negative 590. So I could keep doing that in either direction. Those are all coterminal. Awesome. So if I have this, you know, sometimes I want one positive, one negative, or between there. How do I name every coterminal angle in the world? Well, let's say I give you a 30-degree angle. So this is a 30-degree angle, and I want every single one in the world. Well, that's exactly what I'm going to do. There's 30, but what if I went around this, or I went around again? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 30 degrees, and I'm going to add to it what? You're going to add a whole revolution. You're going to add a 360, and that's going to be n amount of times. The key to this is n is an integer. So you kind of have to write that. N is an integer. And what's an integer? Remember, that's a positive or negative whole number. So that depends on how many loops I'm going to do. That was n is one loop. If you put 1 in there, you're going to add it. You're going to get 390. But maybe it's 2 loops, so n is 2. N is 3, N is 4, N is 5, N is 6, and you keep going and going all you want. Or do the negatives. So that would give you every single coterminal angle in the world we're going to represent by this. So they're all the same thing. So this stuff we're really actually going to use. It's important. It's going to come up in here. Can we go back to this 0 or 360 one? What if I would have gave you one right off the bat? Let's erase some of these notes. What if I would have given you one that was like 960? So what if I, right off the bat, I called this 960? Could you bring that back down to between 0 and 360? Sure, if it's 960, what do you got to do to bring it down? We'll just subtract 360 from it. Does that get there? No, that looks like 600. So I'm still not there, so what I got to do? I got to subtract 360 again. Now I'm in 240. So you just got to work your way into there to get back to 0 to 360.